Aloha, everybody! It is I, the Great Clement, and ladies and gentlemen, I am back from my summer break to tackle my first ever Nintendo DS Let's Play. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Sonic Rush. This game came out for the Nintendo DS back in 2005, like a day or so after Shadow the Hedgehog. Probably on the same day, actually. They were pretty damn close, that's all I know. And this is like one of the last good Sonic games before the Dark Age of Sonic kicked into high gear. Again, Shadow the Hedgehog was one that really started the whole Dark Age, but you know. This game is pretty fantastic. It's not like your typical Sega Genesis Sonic game, or even the Game Boy Advance Sonic games. It has a little bit of Sonic Advance influences, but this one's a new, different kind of beast. This is where the phrase, "boost to win," came from, ladies and gentlemen, because Sonic the Hedgehog has a new ability introduced into this game. The game's called Sonic Rush, so he must be rushing, and how do you rush really fast? Well, you go and you boost through the stage. Basically, you have a meter on the left there that builds up every time you do tricks, every time you kill badniks, and when that meter is filled up, you can push the X button in order to make Sonic turn into a giant blue fireball of death and flurry. And it allows him to go super fast, blow through mostly every enemy, no problem. And he doesn't get affected by uphills and stuff. Like if you're going uphill, doesn't matter. As long as he's boosting, he won't stop. He's running, he's not rolling. And the boost has become a big, big staple of modern Sonic. It's, I don't think it's going away anytime soon. Well, as I say that, Sonic Lost World is coming out, and I don't even know if that game has a boost, but, shut up! In this game, we have 7 Chaos Emeralds to collect, just like before in every other Sonic game. And in order to get them, we have to play through this special stage that's very familiar. It's the same traditional, collect so-so rings, make it to the checkpoint. Do you have those rings? Good, you keep going. Do you not have those rings? Then you fail the special stage. We've seen this dozens of times before in Sonic 2, in Sonic Advance, in Sonic 3D Blast, yada yada yada. It's an archetypal kind of Sonic special stage. But the thing that makes it different is because we're playing this on the Nintendo DS, you're not moving Sonic with the control pad. You're not moving him with buttons. You're using the stylus pen and pushing it alongside the screen, and wherever you put the stylus, that's where Sonic goes. So you're actually moving Sonic with a pen, and you're guiding him that way. And so it's different. It's very different because of that. I've never played a Sonic game where I'm moving my finger up and down in order to keep in line with the rings. So it's traditional, it's nothing new or special, but the stylus control is at least interesting. And unlike Nintendo Wii motion controls, where I absolutely am biased against and I hate them forever and ever, I do think the stylus is a fun way to play these special stages, so I don't really object to the Sonic Rush special stages at all. It's fun collecting Chaos Emeralds. So you noticed I focused on the bottom of the screen. On the top of the screen was other stuff like your ring count and whatnot. Because this game is 2 screens, you know, there's going to be stuff happening on the top and bottom, and sometimes there's going to be nothing happening on the top and bottom. So I'm just going to be cropping some of the footage and focusing on what needs to be focused on during this LP. For example, boss fights in the game always take place on the top screen. Boss fights don't happen on the bottom screen at all. So when we get to boss fights, you'll only be seeing the whole boss fight portion and not the bottom side. It's a little bit weird recording DS games because everything's very vertical, you know? It doesn't fill up the whole screen because you're looking at 2 screens side by side next to each other. And it's a little disorienting. It's going to take a little getting used to. It's not my ideal way of looking at a video game, I know. But Sonic Rush is pretty badass, and I hope I do this game justice by sharing it with y'all. With y'all. Yeah, A rank! Although that's not the highest rank, so I screwed up. But back to the gameplay. Yeah, Sonic still operates like a Sonic game, you know? There are rings. Rings keep you alive. If you get hit when you don't have rings, you die. Get crushed, you die. Fall into a bottomless pit, you die. So all of those rules still apply. There are checkpoints. There are badniks to jump into. You can actually do the spin dash by holding down and mashing the jump button. But the spin dash isn't really as useful in Sonic Rush as it is in the other games, because again, you have the boost feature, and the boost feature may as well be the spin dash, except the spin dash can't go up hills, and, you know, it's slower than a boost. The spin dash is nowhere near as fast as the boost is. Just look at me go. Look how fast I'm traveling across the screen and going and crazy and ah! You would not see this kind of gameplay in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic 3, and Knuckles, you know. This is very, very, very different. What is the same from the previous game, though, is the fact that it keeps the Advance 2 and Advance 3 style of double jumps. And what that means is every time you hit a ramp, every time you hit a spring, you can then push the R button, and depending on what direction you're holding the control pad, Sonic will do a double jump kind of action. If you hold up and push the R button, he'll go straight up into the sky with a double jump. If you push forward and the R button, Sonic does a really big drill kind of attack that propels his character forward and whatnot. So they keep that kind of platforming mentality in the game from the Advanced series, and it'll save you from a lot of bottomless pits. It's really, really useful to know that when you hit a jump, push the R button in the air, and you can double jump. But again, you have to hit a spring, you have to hit a ramp first. So just keep that in mind. S rank! Yeah! They're kind of hard to pull off in this game. Just a little. But now, plots. Eggman, what are you up to now? Sonic, you little pest! Soon, ultimate power will be within my grasp, and I shall be invincible! Yeah. It's basically the same old plot. Dr. Eggman's up to no good again. He's turning animals into robots, and he's got some kind of ultimate plan that we'll be seeing as the game goes along. So, we're going to have some boss fights with him, and like I said before, the entire boss fight is only on the top screen. The bottom screen, which I'm showing you now and only now, is Tails cheering you on, going, "Yeah, Sonic, yeah!" And you can see how many hits left until the boss is defeated. So you hit him, and it goes to 7. You hit him again, it goes to 6, and yada, yada, yada. That's the bottom screen. You never need to look at it ever again. So this is the first boss. It's got this whole snake thing going on. He has two kinds of wind-ups. He does that one where he shakes his head left and right a lot, and then he will slam down, and you can kind of time it. You can time the jumps of that pretty well. And then he's just got a regular wind-up one, which gets longer and longer as the boss fight goes on, because every boss in this game generally gets harder the more you hit it. Either he speeds up, or he adds a new kind of twist to his movesets or something. So it's a lot like the King K. Rool boss fights in Donkey Kong Country, where it's always escalating and escalating and escalating. Well, it's more like every Donkey Kong Country boss fight, I should say. Not just King K. Rool. But yeah, this is not like the Genesis games or the Advance games, where you can just constantly jump on Eggman's Eggmobile for like multiple bounces and take out the boss in like 10-20 seconds, you know? This one, there is an invulnerability state every time you hit him, and you will have to wait for him to expose himself before you can hit him again. And I know some people probably won't prefer that kind of boss fight, and I will admit, I prefer the boss fights in Sonic Advance 1, 3, the original games, because it was a lot easier and a lot more fun to cheese those boss fights. In this one, I'm always waiting for the opening to show up, but at least I'm always doing something. I can say that. Sonic 4 Episode 2 sucks because of its boss fights. But this game, at least I'm always doing something. Even if I'm not hitting Eggman, at least I'm reacting to his attacks, and I'm constantly moving, and I'm constantly in control. And as long as I'm in control and actually playing the boss fight, I'm totally fine with the boss fights in this game, honestly. But that's the first boss fight, and now... Ladies and gentlemen, meet Blaise the Cat. This is the new character introduced into Sonic Rush, and by far a gigantic fan favorite. Probably because she's a very competent female character who's on par with Sonic. And she's not like fangirly like Amy, or really sweet and innocent and soft like Cream. So Blaise the Cat is a real big fan favorite because she's awesome. Blaise the Cat is so awesome. And there are only 2 playable characters in Sonic Rush. You will not be playing as Tails, you will not be playing as Knuckles or Amy or Cream. There are only 2 playable characters, Sonic, and now that we've beaten the first boss fight of the game, we can go back to the main menu and play the entire game as Blaise the Cat. And how different from Sonic is Blaise? Pretty different. She still has the boost, she still has her own spin dash, kind of. She still jumps into badniks and stuff, so she still feels like Sonic, but she does have other things like a hover feature, which is always swell. And I will be doing a second playthrough of this game with Blaise the Cat, just so you know. She's now playable. This is the map. On the top screen, we'll never see the top screen ever again, because all it is, it shows you where the Chaos Emeralds are, or how many Chaos Emeralds you have, how many lives you have, what level you're going to, blah 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 blah. It also shows a percentage next to a blue and purple fusing ball that I'll talk about later when we actually get deep into the plot, but you know. All you need to know is that stuff's happening. We'll find out what's up with Blaise and what's Eggman's plan this time, and blah 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 blah. So one of the best things about Sonic Rush, the friggin' soundtrack. Oh my god, is the soundtrack glorious. Well, before I go back into that, we're back in the special stage. No, but I'll keep on. The soundtrack is done by the same composer of the guy who did, or the same composer who did the Jet Set Radio games. You know, Jet Set Radio Future. And he adds a whole bunch of bebopping, groovy techno with like vocals and stuff. Like, just listen to the special stage music.
Let's do it!
It's really hard to describe, but the soundtrack of this game is unlike any soundtrack you've ever heard in a Sonic game, and ever will hear ever again. This is one of the best soundtracks in Sonic, honestly, and I've always loved Jet Set Radio's music so much. I even used one of the songs in my Mega Man Powered Up boss rush. But there's just a fun, energetic kind of vibe from this music, and it makes going through levels, even if the music doesn't seem to fit, I don't care. You know, the music all by itself stands alone, and if I had to recommend buying the soundtrack of Sonic Rush, oh, abso-fucking-lutely, buy the soundtrack of Sonic Rush. It's fantastic! Gonna be bebopping your head. Bebopping and scatting. Is that a phrase? Bebopping and scatting? Oh, here, you see when I hit these particular balloons in the special stage, the numbers come up, and you have to use the stylus to hit the numbers in order. So I have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you miss a bubble, or if you hit the wrong bubble, it resets and takes you back to the pipe, and then you don't get your ring bonus. The badniks here, you have to hit with the stylus, and then Sonic will automatically homing attack them, and it doesn't show on the bottom, but at the top, you do get like 5 or 10 rings every time you homing attack one of the egg ponds. So, make sure you're hitting those guys because you are getting rings when you do so. Homing attack those guys for rings. It is a very effective strategy. These special stages are super fun, though. I mean, I think Special Stage 7, like a lot of Special Stage 7s, is absolute bullshit. But except for Special Stage 7, these special stages are really gloriously great. And I love that Sonic Colors on DS also has something like this, but they do change it up a little bit. Oh yeah, I'll get to Colors when I get to it. And DS Colors. And Rush Adventure. And Mario and Sonic on DS. Because I can now. Why not? Since I can record DS games, the world's my oyster. I can play Mega Man ZX. Coming soon to an LP channel near you. By near you, I mean in front of you, because you're watching it now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah! The theme of Water Palace is fantastic. It's called Back to Back. It's amazing. The theme of Leaf Storm or Leaf Jungle, or I forget which one it is, but I think that was Right There, Right On. Right there, right on. Seriously, the soundtrack is glorious. If you haven't listened to the soundtrack, I'm going to put them in the description. That's what I'm actually going to do. If you want to hear the soundtrack pieces without my damn mouth yammering over them, I'm going to put it in the soundtrack so that you can listen and enjoy it. Because, my god, is the soundtrack great. But this is Water Palace, and as you can tell, it's underwater. So if you're not collecting air bubbles, you will find yourself drowning quite a bit. And drowning's never fun, don't you know? Oh god, there it is. Can I make it? Can I make it? Can I make it? I made it! Woo! The familiar drowning music. Oh yeah. The DS's sound chip is a little bit different. It's not horrible. I think it's definitely better quality than what the advanced games were, but it's gonna be, it's something. That drowning music just can't compare to the Genesis drowning music, but I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sonic Rush. This game's freaking awesome, and we're gonna keep playing it in part 2. See you then.